Good morning. That's gonna be so good. Hi, this is Janelise and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I posted 2 videos 11 months ago and I was like, hi, welcome to YouTube world where I get to go and be vulnerable. And then I went ghost for 11 months. Kind of forgot about it, if I'm gonna be honest. I recorded a video of my favorite books of 2021 and it took me about 11 months to edit it. We just finished editing it like yesterday and now I'm like, is this even relevant anymore? My favorite books of 2021. Fuck it, I could put it up late. This is also peanut butter. This is my doggy baby. Peanut butter is mini poodle, Havanese, and Jack Russell mix for anybody who cares. She's about 4 years old. We are somehow exactly the same person. And ever since the pandemic, I've been working from home. So like since 2020 now, I've been working from home and my dog has like really bad separation anxiety. So she doesn't do good being home alone. So ever since I've been working remote, she's been so happy. And if I'm gonna be honest, I've been so happy too. And most of the time, we work just like this. We are in my dining room where I keep some of my plants. I have another room where I could put my office, but this is actually one of the rooms that gets the most sunlight in the house. I have access to the windows in the front of the house so I could see like all the cars driving by. I don't know really what the direction of my YouTube channel would look like, if I'm gonna be honest. I know there's a part of me that kind of wants to record again and just put content out there that feels relevant to me and just feels vulnerable and honest in a way that might allow other people to be vulnerable and honest with me, especially in a time where I just feel like I am just figuring shit out and I am so confused. Oh my gosh. I thought that, you know, I'm 27. And I'm not like, you know, I know I'm not super old, I'm not super young, I'm just in a sweet spot where I'm coming to the realization that I just seem to not know shit. And yeah, I'm an adult and I have to figure shit out. And it's very confusing. As you can see, she's a very needy girl. She loves to get petted. Yeah, I feel like there's just a lot that I don't know right now. I'm in the process of trying for a baby. I have been on the Mirena IUD since I was 18. I had 5 years for one and then replaced it with another one. The first one was because I didn't want to get pregnant in college. I wanted to be able to finish college and not worry about potentially getting pregnant. And then the second one was around the time I married my husband. It just felt like we were still finding some kind of stability in our lives, both from a career perspective, from a living space perspective, and just trying to figure things out. And so I popped in the second one and I was grateful, honestly. Why? I was on the IUD for 9 years, or I had it, you know, for about 9 years. And there were the pros and cons. The pro for sure was that I really didn't get pregnant. Me and my husband have been together for almost the same amount of time that I had it, because I think I put it in maybe the year before I even met my husband at the time. And so during the time that we were, you know, getting intimate throughout our whole relationship, like it never came up. I never had a pregnancy scare, and it just wasn't something that was a fear of mine or a fear of his. And so not having that worry in the back of our heads made it really easy to focus on ourselves and making sure that like we were accomplishing whatever goals that we needed to without the fear of like parenthood sneaking up on us. The con was I had the hormonal IUD, and child, that shit was putting my hormones out of whack all the time. It took a lot to kind of uncover what was going on there, what was going on kind of with my mental health, and coming to the conclusion that I believe that the IUD was related. But even then, I didn't feel comfortable taking it out yet because, again, I was like, I'd rather go crazy than get pregnant. Yeah, about a year ago, I went to my husband's cousin's baby's birthday party, okay? Follow that train. When I was there, I saw the cousin, her husband, the grandma, and this 1-year-old baby girl. And I felt so emotional. And I didn't even know at the time kind of how to process that information. I remember seeing them, and almost at the same time that I was seeing that little family, it's like I was imagining my own family. I was imagining like myself, my husband, my mom, and my future baby. And it made me so emotional. It just like, it caught me so off guard because, again, it felt like for 9 years I was telling myself how much I didn't want a baby right now and how I just had a lot of shit to do and make sure that I get my shit done. At the time when I had first gotten my IUD and during that whole process that I had it, I was like trying to finish undergrad. Then I wanted to pay off my student loans. I was trying to complete graduate school while paying it completely out of pocket. I was working full-time while in school. Me and my husband couldn't afford to move out at the time, as he was still trying to get established in his career. And so we were living with his mom. And so I knew for sure at the time that, 1, I didn't want to get pregnant in college. 2, I didn't want to get pregnant while I still had like, tens of thousands of student loan. 3, I didn't want to get pregnant at my mother-in-law's house. I really wanted to feel independent and stable and have a place of my own before that thought process even kind of crossed my mind. And so by last year, that was all done. Like, I'm excited to say, like, I finished my undergrad degree, I finished my grad degree, I have $0 in student debt right now. We were able to move out and get a place of our own, and we've been living here now for 2 years, and so I finally started to feel safe and secure in my environment. Also, at the time, I had started therapy. I was already like 6 months into therapy, and just working through some of the like issues and thought processes and old patterns that I had that really weren't serving me anymore. And so I was feeling confident and strong and powerful in that place. So I guess it makes sense how all of a sudden my brain started to open up to the possibility of motherhood. But even then, I was just kind of like, maybe this is a one-time fluke. I told my husband, I was like, hey, we went to this party. I felt a little emotional, and I don't know, maybe I'm ready for a baby. He's like, okay, this is good to know. We've talked about potentially in the next few years having a baby, so maybe we can keep with that timeline, but it's good to know where you're at. So I took my IUD out in February of 2022, and I expected that my period would probably come back in like 6 months, and it actually returned in 2 months. I remember the day that my period came back because I was so excited. I was at my aunt's house, and it was like both of my aunts, my grandma, and my mother. So it was like a ladies' table that we were all hanging out. And I knew that I was feeling kind of crampy, but I thought I had to poop. So I went to the bathroom, and when I wiped, I saw blood, and I literally was like a 26-year-old teenager. I like opened the door, and I'm like, damn, mommy, I got my period, woo! They're all like cheering me like I was 16 or something. They're like, yes, she's got her period. And I was so excited. I called all my girlfriends that day, and I was like calling them. I was like, guys, guess what? I got my period. And they're just like, good for you. We've all been having our period. Is this new? And I'm like, no, I got my IUD. I thought it would take so long. It's been 2 months, and look at it, it's back. And I'm grateful to say since that day that it came back, it has been coming back regularly, once a month, every like 29 to 33 days, because I've been tracking out on the Flow app tracker. And so that was great. And so having that confirmation that my body was like open to the possibility of pregnancy, that really excited me, and that made me so happy. Flash forward now to like Mother's Day. My parents had like a Mother's Day church event that they were going to on a Sunday, and so I really wanted to spend Mother's Day with my mom because we've just gotten like closer than we've ever been in the last year. and I really wanted to be there with her. So we all went, and you know, that same service was a baby dedication service. And so there was about 2 or 3 families that went up with their newborn baby, you know, maybe a few months old, and they had their whole family coming up with them. And again, it was like I had this like vision of seeing all these families up there, and yet I could still see myself and my husband and my aunts and my grandma and my parents and my siblings and my husband's siblings and his mom, and I could just see this whole family tree of mine like in front of me as clear as day. And I remember just kind of concluding that day and talking with my husband again, and sharing with him that like I feel like this is the second time that this has happened, and since we've removed my IUD and I've gotten my period back, and so, you know, I feel like even though we talked about possibly having a baby in the next few years, is it possible to start trying this year because I feel ready? And so, you know, he was just talking back and forth with me like, are you sure? You know, like, I know we said a few years, and now you're kind of pushing up the timeline a little bit, but we also had other goals, because like one of our biggest goals is also to buy a house, and this is a shitty market. And I'm like, you know what, like at the end of the day, we have a space of our own. Is there really such thing as a perfect time for us to start a family? I don't want to feel like I'm limiting myself just because I'm waiting for the perfect time. So he's like, you know what, like you're right, and I'm ready to start trying. We just don't know if, you know, it like how this process is going to take. When do you think you would want to start? And so at the time I knew I had a bachelorette coming up in August. So by then I was like, all right, I kind of want to wait until after August, because when I go to Miami, I want to be able to drink and have a good time, and not worry about the pregnancy. So in May, there was a couple of times where we kind of half-heartedly tried without really like tracking anything. And then the same in August, like after our vacations, we kind of half-heartedly tried, and you know, nothing came of it at the time. And I'm kind of glad that it didn't, because also in August I got this horrible UTI that turned into a kidney infection and ended up in the ER. And so that wouldn't have been fun to have with pregnancy. So I'm glad that it didn't happen at the time. But in September I had a follow-up appointment with my PCP. And basically she's like, antibiotics worked, your kidney infection is good, I'm glad you're feeling better. So is there anything you want to talk about in this appointment? And I'm like, well, me and my husband have talked about trying for a baby, and I guess is there any advice that you have? And so she shared that her advice is really like, just try. Like, for now I could write you a prescription for prenatal vitamins, and you know, you could start taking those daily. You want to get those kind of nutrients in you before the baby comes. So start taking the prenatal vitamins. You could also use period tracking apps to try to best guess your ovulation, so that you could try to have sex around that time period. She also said that it takes about a year to get pregnant. It could happen sooner, it could happen later, but that's just kind of the average for couples who are trying, because again, it's just a best guess scenario of when you might be ovulating, and just trying to shoot your shot around that time. And just good luck. At the time, the prenatal vitamins that she prescribed for me weren't available. And so I got like some whatever over-the-counter prenatal vitamins without really reading it. And that month, I remember like my body falling completely out of whack. It really started to affect me in a way where I just felt constipated all the time, which I am a regular bowel movement person, so that was very odd. And there was a point where I realized there was like 3 days where I hadn't shitted, and I didn't, like, I was cramping so bad, I was bloated so bad, I was having the worst gas, but I couldn't poop for the life of me. My mood also started to get affected, and you know, whenever my body's not feeling good, my mental just goes like right out the window. And so thankfully I was like communicating with my mom at the time, and she was able to put 2 and 2 together that like my mood and my physical symptoms all started around the times that I started taking the new prenatal vitamins. And so I remember checking the bottle, and the bottle said I had bought advanced prenatal vitamins. So I'm assuming what happened at that time was like I was starting to overdose in some of the nutrients because I was taking the advanced prenatal vitamins that I really didn't need at the time. And so that was making me super constipated, and like my body was just having a hard time processing everything that was going in. So I got off of those prenatal vitamins and waited about a week before I picked up the new prescription and started on the prenatal vitamins that my doctor prescribed, which ever since have been totally different. My body is fine. I'm pooping again. I feel good. I'm fine. And so I'm like, all right, September was a month that we tried, but maybe with the prenatal vitamins fiasco, like it just wasn't successful. Here's to October. So October comes, and especially during the Flow app guessing around my ovulation week, me and my husband are going at it. We're like so excited, hoping that, you know, things will come to a fruition. And about the week after my ovulation week, I started feeling funny. I was so exhausted. I had such a hard time getting out of bed in the morning. I would literally get out of bed and then fall back asleep on the couch before I could log on to work. And usually I work out a few times a week at home, and I go for walks every day with my dog, and I couldn't do them. I just had no energy. I just wanted to sleep. And then by the weekend, I start physically feeling ill. So I'm like puking a few times a day. I was afraid that my mind would start convincing me I was pregnant. And I was like, you know, maybe I'm just sick. Like, I would just like to convince myself that I'm sick instead of convincing myself I'm pregnant, because it's too soon. And if I'm not, I'm just gonna be disappointed. I'm talking to my mom and I'm talking to my husband, and my mom shares that like when she was pregnant, she was getting violently sick, and when her mom was pregnant, she got violently sick. So it is a possibility. And so I started to get excited. I was like, maybe I am. And even though I didn't feel it in my heart that I could be, I was puking, and that is a symptom. And I was exhausted, and my boobs hurt, and like there was just things that were happening that were PMS symptoms, but they're also pregnancy symptoms. So I couldn't really tell which one it was, and it was really frustrating. And by Tuesday of this week, so it was like November 1st, I was like, finally, you know what, let me just take a pregnancy test and see, you know, maybe I am. And when I took it, it was negative. And I was sad because I got myself excited at the possibility that it was. Something finally registered. Like I drank some water from my water bottle, and I went to the bathroom and I threw up. And something told me, let me check my water bottle. Like, when is the last time I cleaned this thing? And I opened my water bottle, and it is like covered in bacteria all over the bottom. It registers that I've been drinking bacteria water for 2 weeks. Because that is the water bottle that I drink from every single day, and I hadn't at the time. Usually I'll try to clean it once every couple of weeks, but honestly I can't even remember the last time I cleaned it. Maybe a month ago, maybe a little longer. And it never even registered to me because the only thing I put in there is water. And it was covered in bacteria, and that's what I've been putting in my body for the last couple of weeks. So it finally was starting to make sense. The boobs still hurting. I think it's just PMS and my period coming up. But the sickness and the exhaustion and my body just trying to fight off whatever the fuck I was putting in my body, now it was starting to make sense. And now it made me sad again, because it feels like there was another month of me trying, and now I'm like freaking poisoning myself again. And it's just throwing off the possibility of getting pregnant. So I guess now this vlog is to say, like, here I am, I'm back, I'm trying to get pregnant, and I am failing at it right now. You know, this was only second month of trying, and the doctor said it could take up to a year. So I guess, you know, I'm right on target in that sense, you know. And I'm just trying to find ways to look at this positive, but I'm so frustrated because I thought it was gonna be so much easier than this. I remember in high school being told, like, don't even be alone with a guy because you can get pregnant. I remember making it seem like it was so easy to get pregnant at the time, and now as an adult just realizing that it's not as easy as I thought, and that there's like a whole process that your body is going through, and you kind of have to work with that process and just aim for the best times of the month and hope that that takes. So I don't know, I might share more about this journey, might keep the rest private, I'm not sure. But for now, I did want to share this because this is kind of what's going on with me right now, and I know that I'm not the only one who is kind of really desiring a baby and maybe struggling a little bit in this process. I know this is still like early enough that it might be like, girl, why are you even tripping? That's definitely some reactions that I'm getting for now. But then this is just me. I tend to panic when I'm trying to do something and it just doesn't seem to be working right away. But I know I have time, and I want to have faith that it will happen when the time is right. I just wish that the time was right now. So, welcome to my vulnerability hour over here. If you want to keep following along, you can follow my YouTube channel, and hopefully I can kind of encourage myself to keep recording and posting things up. So, hope you have a great day, and thank you for watching.